Welcome back to my channel, Miss Be Ecstatic. If you're new, welcome in. And on this channel, we explore all things divination and astrology. Today, I was inspired by this beautiful morning light to sit with the I Ching, and it has been a little while since I have done so. A lot of lifing happening around and little change in my environment and settling in, things of that nature. So we're gonna use the coins, just clearing these decks as well. We will perhaps, if called, pull from the Sacred Rebel Oracle deck. And as always, I have a question prepared. This one is a little different. I thought I would play with the question a little more this time, actually. I'm just loving the brightness of the light, the colors on the table. And the reflection of light off the crystal. Hope everyone's doing well. I am recording this on August 3rd, 2025. We are in the middle of Leo season. We have Mercury retrograde right now in Leo, Saturn, Neptune retrograde in Aries, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and I think that's it for retrogrades. So here's our shiny coins. I just wanted to give you that morning dew look. And we're going to go ahead and zoom into the question here. All right, so normally I ask it really generally for the collective. This time I wanted to include very specifically whoever is viewing this. So collectively is a more broader general acknowledgement, and this time I wanted to just kind of acknowledge and narrow in on whomever is watching this. And of course, that almost goes without saying, because if you've clicked on this, then there's something here for you, okay? And the wording is just putting emphasis on that. And also what is most important and available. I really do believe in right timing, and so we aren't always meant to know what we want to in the moment that we're asking. And so it's also acknowledging and respecting the fact that if we were given all of the mysteries of the world that we were curious about in one, on command and on demand, it might be too overwhelming for our physical structure, consciousness, as it is a process of evolution and expansion into understanding. Okay, anyway, that's a little tangential there, a little rant, but here we go. So just gonna clear the coins. And I almost forgot my Moldavite. a very small piece that I've had for a long time that I like to have on hand when I'm doing the I Ching reading. And I'm going to say my prayer. Just taking a moment to clear my channel of any unwanted energies, just so it is a clear channel for receiving messages from the living spirit of the I Ching. So I'm bypassing conscious mind, accessing the superconscious, connecting to the living spirit of the I Ching, requesting presence and clear, concise messages that can be understood and helpful to anyone who is watching or receiving this information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, y'all, for the month of August, what messages are most important and available to the ones watching now? For the month of August, what messages are most important and available to the ones watching now? For the month of August, what messages are most important and available to the ones watching now? For the month of August, what messages are most important and available to the ones watching now? For the month of August, what messages are most important and available to the ones watching now? Okay, and I see that one is all 3 yin. So there's a changing line. Okay. All right, so we have our lines. There we are. Try and make this, maybe make a few little adjustments here to, okay. So we have lake, and we have thunder. All right. So if you've been here before, you're familiar with my little handy dandy guide. This is one, the Tao Oracle. I actually don't have the cards anymore. I just have this booklet. Lots of moving, things get lost in the shuffle. So what we're looking for is to create we have created a hexagram, which is two trigrams. So the bottom trigram is lake, so we'll look at the bottom here. Here's lake at the bottom. And then the top line is thunder. So that brings us right here. 54 is our hexagram. And I think in this video, just in terms of time, I'll keep it kind of short for this extra message. We'll just have it. It does change the hexagram when we have a changing line. I'll show you what we do. So it's really simple. No change in the first trigram. And then here we go, sorry. Last line changes from yin to yang, okay? So then that would give the top trigram it would be fire. Fire, because it's empty inside, or receptive, yin. And that would give us a different, so I'll leave you with the, so again, here we are, lake, and fire's over here, right here, 38, okay? So maybe if this doesn't run too long, we'll do the extended, but for sure, we'll talk about the extra message here. All right. All right. What a beautiful morning out here in the desert. I live in the city, but it is hot. Beautiful sunlight coming through. I'm looking for hexagram 54. This one's called Marrying the Maiden. Okay, so we'll just do a brief synopsis. So, waking up to the realization that there is a fatal flaw in what you thought was going to be a perfect situation can be quite a shock. The disturbing news that marrying the maiden brings is about inequality, subordination, or somehow unconsciously allowing oneself to be put into an inferior position in relation to others. This may have arisen out of your desire for a certain position or from failing to respect yourself and your own capabilities to the extent that you have compromised on your own truth. Perhaps you have wanted to believe things about yourself that deep in your heart you know were not true, and have allowed yourself to be manipulated through flattery or unrealistic promises. I'm going to just kind of skim. One of the most painful aspects of facing the truth is that you risk finding out that you have sold yourself short by entering into agreements that in no way reflect what you really want or need, and it seems either difficult or impossible now to get out of them. If this is the case, it is critical to reflect unemotionally on how you have cooperated in the seduction of what was motivating your consent. Motivation. Being tempted into something unrealistic by flattery, but allowing yourself to be put in an inferior position, maybe because someone else's motives are obviously being projected. And that happens when we don't know what motivates us, what our motivation is, what our heart desire is, that happens when we're not firm in what we want or our values or what our purpose is and what brings meaning to us. It's easy to be then manipulated. So this is what this hexagram is speaking of. So this means asking some pretty straightforward questions of yourself. Have you ignored the whispering of your own intuitive feelings in favor of the desires of the mind for prestige or position, or because you just want to be liked? If so, then you have to take responsibility, at least in part, for how your own desires have contributed to the current situation. Succumbing to seduction means that you have given more importance to the superficial and the imagined than you have given to the deep and real. This choice almost always creates a subtle wound in the being that may not immediately be noticed inevitably though, the injury will make itself felt. Whenever we have compromised our authenticity and truth, the first symptom is usually feeling of emptiness. We live in a world that encourages and rewards cleverness and pretense and pays homage to the latest trends in its hunger for the new. But to live in make-believe is to remain immature, and those who insist on living in a fantasy gradually lose touch with who they really are. The only way through pain of being compromised is to allow yourself to feel it and to take responsibility for your part in it. This is the first essential step towards release and renewal of respect, self-respect. So, wow, that one's kind of deep. Let me move the camera a little bit and keep the sunlight. That one's deep. So, in particular with these retrogrades, that might be something that some of you are experiencing. Yeah. So let's just let some of that clear. Yeah. I can feel that. Ooh. I feel it because I recognize that feeling. So where in your life have you compromised? Or where in your life have you felt that wound? There's some, many things going on in the world right now that are taking financial toll on people and forcing people. Many people are out of work or forced into positions they don't want to be in. Perhaps compromise in their integrity or dignity in order to get by, and all of the messaging out in the world is like, to consume is to exist, and then force, again, the latest trends as worthy of consumption. And it's all empty like the fire. I say that because, it looks, like I showed you with the sage just now, it looks flashy, it looks beautiful. And at first it might feel hot, see the yang lines, but it's hollow. It's hollow and cool at the center when we're talking about a flame. So the changing line here, message, top line. What is past is gone forever, and even if you could bring it back, it would not restore your sense of well-being in the here and now. No matter how great the temptation may be, act impulsively or seek quick fixes to your distress. It would only prolong the pain of dealing with the issues at hand. If you have been keeping up a false front, it is time to let it fall. Only the real can encounter reality, and the encounter is overdue. Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I really have felt the Saturn retrograde this time. It's retrograde in Aries. It'll go back to Pisces. And with Neptune, which is, you know, a distant planet of, well, it's related to illusion. It's related to outer unknown boundaries, dissolving boundaries with Saturn, right? Or obscuring them. And Saturn can't control or identify or bring form to something it can't see. So Neptune is that thing. And Neptune has, it's kind of patrolling the outer regions of our solar system. So it's out in the darkest corners. So when they're both retrograde, along with Mercury in Leo, the house of the heart, with Pluto in opposition to it, we see, or we feel the void of things that are superficial, temporary, that aren't bringing true meaning. And yeah, marrying the maiden, it may have looked as a good situation, something that might move you in a position or of status or change your status, but it's only perceived superficially. It's not of your true essence. It's not real. You must become real and go within, and that's the purpose of these retrogrades. And we have them. Mercury through August 11th will be in retrograde, but also it'll have a shadow period. So most of August is in retrograde, and then Saturn in September and Pluto in November. So this is a period of inner reflection, feeling the pain of that emptiness, and 14. And in order to understand the contrast, the only way out is through, feeling through this. And I really love this artwork. She has a key in her mouth. It's kind of difficult to see because the text is here. But there is, under the 14, a key. You are the lock. You have the key. The hands on the gears look like reference to time. And, you know, buttons are pretty functional. Seems silly to say, but like there's pennies, coins, and buttons. It's like the key is unlocking something that might put some practical, but it's inside of you. It's not coming from outside. On the path of life, there are deciding moments where we can choose to go with the mainstream. Here we go, the mainstream. You saw me shuffle. Or we can dare to take a bolder, more authentic and trusting way, even if it seems riskier or less safe. To rely solely on logic and science without incorporating the mysterious and magical is a recipe for an existence that is far too dry. The sacred rebel within our hearts will always choose a juicier approach to life. That's like one of my favorite words when I get excited. You are currently approaching such a choice point. You could say that the choice is about balance. It is less about choosing to honor either art or science, gardening or architecture, and more about integrating all approaches so that you enhance rather than hinder your journey. There is a time and place for logic, strategy, planning, measurable outcomes. These are not bad tools to have, but we must be vigilant not to worship them or allow them to quash our less rational but equally valuable decision-making tools, intuition, feeling, and those things you know without knowing how you know them. The flowing inspirational energy of the heart may have no conceivable basis in logic or reason and still be uncannily accurate. To remain rebellious, we must not sacrifice the art of emotion, instinct, passion, and intuition for the science of logic and strict planning. So in this oracle deck, it's asking to stay open to an intuitive approach to life. You may have pressures around you from the world, your own conditioned nature to do things according to the rules. However, sometimes the best plan is to do what feels intuitively truthful. This oracle brings special piece of guidance. You are moving outside of the plan. You are living on the border of what is socially accepted. This is a good thing. This is fringe dwelling freedom. Anyway, I love these cards because of the art, but there's like several pages. And while in these I Ching readings, I do end up reading more. I do use intuitive inspiration, astrology inspiration to transmit a message. I don't like to read from the book that much. So I hope that some of the messages here have resonated for the eyes watching, for those who are here in the time that it has found you. Although this recording and the astrology around it is obviously more specific, if you're called to this reading, then there's something here for you at the time that you're viewing. And I do hope that it brings you peace and that it brings you closer to yourself and acts as a reminder of wholehearted living, wholehearted being, and that you are exactly what we need as you are, even if it goes beyond what society considers normal. Peace be with you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.